Hey everybody, Philipp Schinetsky here. In this video I wanted to talk about combining chords with scales or chords with melody. Over the past year or so I did a lot of gear demos, but it has always been my plan to also do tutorial content on my YouTube channel here, so I thought I start, or actually it's not the first tutorial I'm uploading. I did already a tutorial about how to start improvising in odd meters, which I'll link up here, which is a subject, of course, that not so much people find interesting or have interest in. Sorry, I'm a bit sick still, recovering. But in this tutorial I'll be talking about chords and scales and maybe how you can start implementing or how you can start finding ways around, adding notes to your chords that you might know already. So if you are at the point where you know some scales, you specifically all these kind of open string chords in the first position, but you're also familiar with the E shape, A shape, C shape, G shape, and maybe a D shape. And you also can play some scales by themselves. Then this might be the perfect video for you. So first of all, I thought, I would always start here in the first position. So most of you guys will know the C major chord, and you might also know the C major scale, the corresponding scale in this position. And then if you know chord and you know scale, then the way to combine these two would be to try to add all these scale notes to your chord. So so something like this. As you could see, I did not always play the full chord, depending on where I am in the scale. When I was here playing the lower notes, I kind of played the lower note first, and then the rest of the chord. You don't have to do it, you can play it. You can play it like this as well. And depending on which note you are playing, the idea is that, of course, the scale tone that you are trying to emphasize is emphasized, that you can clearly hear it. That mostly means that if you play strings that are higher than this note, you're kind of these higher notes can get in the way. So in the beginning, it might be enough to play actually just one. First the root note by itself, and then you add on top of the root note all the other notes. And so on. Once you master this in this first position, maybe use other chords, use other scales, then you move up to your bar chords, and just pick one. For instance, this C major here in this E shape, and then try to do the same thing. Again, you will see that you will have to find ways to change your fingers, change your position, Also not play the entire chord all the time, which can be a great thing, which will also lead me now to my next point. It's actually nice to play sometimes the root only and then add other notes on top of the root. Something like this. And if you change chords, so starting with a C major, just playing the root in the third, going to an A major, doing the same, root and third only, F major the same, G major. This already gives you enough information about the chord, and it's an easy way to play chords or actually just root notes underneath a melody. Something like this. So I was keeping it very simple: root and melody note. Let's see. I have some notes here. Not necessarily play the full chord. Then, of course, if you want to add more notes, what I would recommend in a jazz or blues context is to add the seventh, because with your root, your third, and the seventh, it's actually enough chord information. It's actually enough chord information. So the root tells you what kind of chord it is. The third tells you whether it's a minor or major chord, and the seventh tells you whether it's a major seventh chord or a dominant seventh chord. Same with minor. You can have your minor chord and then add a minor 7, which makes it a minor, so an A minor 7 in that case. You can add, of course, also the major 7, which makes it an A minor major 7. So in a jazz blues context, then you get to these kind of chords. And then these chords could be a nice starting point on top of which you can add your melody then. So if you have your melody, then you do. Something like this. So the starting point was this. So C, E, B flat, A, G, C sharp, D, F sharp, C, G, F, B, which is something which in the end is C7, A7, D7, and G7, and then you have a melody on top. Something like this, which this very blues and jazz oriented. In a pop context, you would most likely not add the seventh. You will probably add another, the 5 of the chord, or just repeat the root or something like this. Right away it sounds more poppy. So one more exercise that I would recommend that you guys can do is practice scales on one string and try to add the scale chords underneath. Something like this. This will also give you lots of options afterwards to play chords underneath a melody. You might even find that if you have a melody that actually belongs only to one chord, so, and then it's actually just a C major, you might find yourself reharmonizing this even. Something like this. Okay, so I think I'm about 10 minutes in. I hope I gave you some ideas how to start combining chords and scale or melody notes. And if you like this video, please let me know in the comment section. Maybe let me know what you find interesting. If you have any other subjects you would like me to cover on my YouTube channel here. There is more gear demos coming, don't worry if you're here only for gear demos. I'm actually waiting for a nice fast pedal to arrive. And yeah, so I hope to see you soon, guys. Take care, and I hope you find this video helpful. Ciao.